Almost 2 months ago, when the whole world seemed to be shutting down, when we had no idea how bad the Chinese coronavirus was going to be, I made a video outlining our plans. We were going to hunker down, stop flying our journalists around as much as we had been doing before. That wasn't even an option anymore, especially traveling to foreign countries or the US. And we were going to let our staff work from home if they felt more comfortable doing so. I managed to get some face masks for our team, and we were just going to be careful and see what happened. Editorially, I promised that we would continue to tell the other side of the story, as our motto goes, ask skeptical questions, which become even more important during a time of crisis, not less important. And then I asked loyal Rebel News subscribers to help us weather the storm. Because, of course, the mass unemployment that has been inflicted on our country and across the world has affected our revenue, too, because we aren't like the CBC. We don't take government handouts. And we're not like Canada's newspapers, which are now at the trough, too, with their big bailout from Trudeau. They're all good. They'll all get paid like government bureaucrats will, no matter what, no matter how tough times get. But we are dependent on the goodwill and financial strength of ordinary people. So I was a bit worried. Obviously, worry number one was for personal health and everyone we care about, our staff, our viewers. But our unique business model, especially our $8 a month subscription for the premium shows, plus our crowdfunding, well, it means we could be wiped out too if the country hits a great recession again. So I recently received this email from a longtime loyal viewer and donor named David. I won't use his last name. He writes, "Do you suppose it's a good time to update your supporters on how the Rebel is faring during this prolonged economic crisis?" D. Great idea, David. Thank you, and I'll do that. Here goes. I'm going to go deep. Ready? First of all, thank God we're all healthy. That's not too surprising given what we know now about the virus, but back 2 months ago, we didn't really know. For the past 2 months, we've had about 5 people working in our main office and the rest of our team working from home. And most of our jobs can be done that way since our people have laptop computers so they can work from pretty much anywhere. To make sure we kept in the loop with each other, we set up 2 daily video conference calls, one every day at 10 a.m. and one every day at 5 p.m. They're typically about half an hour in the morning, about 15 minutes in the afternoon, just to go over what everyone's doing. Also to avoid getting lonely. I admit I force everybody to listen to my dumb jokes and way too many stories that never seem to end.
Like the time I caught the ferry over to Shelbyville? I needed a new heel for my shoe. So I decided to go to Morganville, which is what they call Shelbyville in those days. So I tied an onion to my belt, which was the style at the time. Now, to take the ferry cost a nickel, and in those days, nickels had pictures of bumblebees on them. Give me 5 B's for a quarter, you'd say. Now, where were we? Oh, yeah. The important thing was that I had an onion on my belt, which was the style at the time. They didn't have white onions because of the war. The only thing you could get was those big yellow ones.
Yeah, it's just like that. It's one of the worst things about working at the Rebel, being forced to listen to my old stories. Anyways, it seems to work. And for the staff that come into the office, we increased our snack budget. I know it doesn't look too impressive in these photos, but we have a bunch of young guys in the office who like snacks. I'm one of them. And, I guess we got one old guy who likes snacks. So we brought in lots of snacks, plus real lunches too for the brave 5 guys who've been working from our office. So we've tried to keep a smile and a sense of humor about things and, food. David Menzies and Cian Bexty managed to secure their own mask and goggles pretty quickly on their own, and they've been wearing them where they thought it was appropriate out and about, including when David went to the airport several times to report on how Trudeau just never stopped the flights from China. He just never did. And you just have to love how David taped his microphone to the end of a small hockey stick to social distance. I crack up still when I see that in all the videos. So that's what it's been like personally. 5 of us or so in the office, twice daily video calls with the whole team, a few very simple precautions. We even tried out a blood test on David, which came back negative, which we knew, but it was still good to check. So that's the behind the scenes update. But the real story of the pandemic for us, I think, has been our news coverage. Simply put, I think it's been the best news coverage in the country of any media outlet. David went to the airport, and Cian did in Calgary too, David went again and again, showing that not only were flights coming in from China and every day, but there was no screening of any sort. To this day, they don't even take your temperature. There's no meaningful questions. In fact, what I took away from so many of those video clips was that the passengers that David were interviewing, they themselves were surprised and disappointed by how lax our border controls were. They wanted more screening. It was like they felt the danger themselves. We also sent David and also Kian down to the Roxham Road entry point to show how hundreds of migrants were just traipsing across the border into Canada despite the pandemic. Here's a clip of that.
Now, I came here to see with my own eyes that this is still happening in real time. Justin Trudeau is betraying Canadians. This is an image of the illegal aliens who just came in. Over the course of the hour that I've been here, about 24 have come in, but I find this family very interesting.
We also wanted to see what it looked like from the U.S. side, but we didn't want to take our reporter out of action for 14 days, which I think is what would have happened upon their return for Canada. They would have had to be quarantined. So we hired a freelancer based in New York to come up to take a look from the southern side, and there isn't so much as a chain link fence.
But yet again, even less security and patrol. Well, not patrol, there's still two people. Two people were in there yesterday, but they're down one vehicle. So now we just got a civilian vehicle over there.
So we did reporting out and about, and we also went through government documents that apparently neither the rest of the media nor the opposition parties could be bothered to do. Like when Sheila discovered that Trudeau gave nearly $1 million to the Wuhan Virology Institute, literally the place that started this all. Trudeau gave them $800,000 plus this year.
It looks like the Canadian government, in an effort to move fast instead of smart, seems to be giving Canadian tax money to, well, possibly the bad guys of the outbreak. Here's this grant headed by a researcher at the University of Alberta in Edmonton. The grant itself is to develop a form of rapid testing for the virus in places where resources are limited, like poor countries. It's a noble idea, but unfortunately it includes collaboration with what is possibly the researchers who are the source of the coronavirus disease. Look at this. This research addresses the urgent need of rapid point-of-care diagnostics of COVID-19. The collaborative research is conducted by a multidisciplinary team of virologists, chemists, infectious disease specialists, frontline practitioners, and public health researchers from the University of Alberta, Canadian Food Inspection Agency, and Wuhan Institute of Virology in China.
Sheila had a ton of scoops like that, including that Trudeau let in countless visitors from China and from Wuhan itself this year.
As of February 2nd, 2020, there are 1.91 million Chinese residents who currently hold valid temporary resident visas. Only 2%, or 39.4 thousand, are residents of Wuhan. And just for context, a temporary resident visa can last anywhere from 1 day to 3 years before you've got to pack up and go home. And according to these documents, almost all of the valid visas for these temporary residents, 99.7% of them, were multiple entry visas, meaning these people could go home, they could go back and forth on the same visa.
I led a bit of the charge against Teresa Tam for her weirdness on masks and her weirdness on borders, most of which seem to stem from the fact that she actually continues to work to this day for the Chinese-dominated World Health Organization. She really just says whatever the WHO tells her to say, which is why she has given such awful advice to Canadians, like telling us not to use masks.
So our advice right now is there is no need to use a mask for well people.
She said masks don't work, which isn't true. She said closing the border to travelers from virus hotspots in China doesn't work. That's not true either. That video has been seen nearly more than 400,000 times, actually. And I think it really summed up a lot of people's frustrations with Teresa Tam. We also dug up this old clip where she mused about tracking people with bracelets and jailing people with police if they refuse to take an official government vaccine.
If there are people who are non-compliant, there are definitely laws and public health powers that can quarantine people in mandatory settings. It's potential you could track people, put bracelets on their arms, have police and other setups to ensure quarantine is undertaken.
Yeah. We've tried to ask questions to Tam and to Trudeau. We've literally tried dozens of times, but we're always banned from asking questions. So as you may know, 2 weeks ago, we filed a lawsuit with the federal court, seeking a court order to be allowed to have our questions put through, just like we sued back in October when Trudeau banned us from the election debates. If you want to read the whole lawsuit or help us pay the legal fees for the lawsuit, you can do so at letusreport.com. Because people are stuck at home and generally interested in the other side of the story, we added a whole new show to our lineup of shows, a daily 1-hour live stream at 12 noon Eastern time. And I host it Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And Sheila and David co-host it Tuesday and Thursdays. And what's so much fun about it is it's a live show. It's called a Super Chat by Google, so people can get interactive. They can ask questions by typing little questions, make comments, and even make their comments stick on the page in a bright color if they pay a few dollars. And the good news there is we get to keep 70% of those funds. So we've covered a ton of topics. We've done dozens of shows every day at 12 noon Eastern, and they're all out there on YouTube, so it's reached a lot of people who weren't previously paying subscribers, letting them support us too through these Super Chats. Just for your info, some of these Super Chats are so generous. On Friday, one lady made a $200 gift via YouTube that way, so that's pretty amazing. So it's an important source of revenue, as well as being substantive and a bit more fun, given they're a bit loosey-goosey and a bit chatty and a bit silly even sometimes, but we could use a laugh or two. I think now more than ever, it's important to tell the other side of the story. That's our motto. That's sure not the motto of the media party. In fact, it was so weird to watch the CBC attack other journalists. Even the Epoch Times, which is a newspaper that was founded by Chinese democracy activists. They're ethnic Chinese people. White people work there too, but it's a very Chinese democracy paper. And the liberal, white, Trudeau-loving CBC actually called this Chinese democracy newspaper, Epoch Times, they actually called them racist, if you can believe it. Pure Trudeau, pure Beijing propaganda is so gross. That's what the CBC's done. But we've risen to the occasion, if I may say so. I'm very proud of our journalists, and I think that out of all of them, I must single out David Menzies for doing such a great job. He's traveled all around the province of Ontario, leading the charge for our FightTheFines.com project. That's where we hired Sam Goldstein, a very respected senior lawyer in Ontario. He's actually a Law Society bencher, if you know what that means. So he actually helps run the whole legal profession. It's a big deal. And he's agreed to help us quarterback an entire civil liberties defense project. So we set up this webpage, FightTheFines.com, and anyone in the country can fill out a form in strict confidence telling us their story of getting an outrageous fine for walking in the park or something like that. And then Sam checks it out, calls them, and then either we take the case or he takes the case personally, or he farms it out to other lawyers who are working with us in other cities. We've got lawyers in Calgary and Edmonton and Montreal too, all working with us. So far we've taken 11 cases. I think we've published the stories of 8 or 9 of them already. It takes some time to do these. Here's a quick mashup of just a few of them.
Basically, as soon as I walked out onto the skate park, 3 bylaw officers walked out and they just ticketed me. They didn't give me a warning. They didn't tell me to just go. I asked. I tried to talk to them about it, but they just stuck me with the ticket.
They went back into the truck, come back out, and he says, I have to issue a ticket. I go, you do. Do you? Look like that. Yep. And he goes, I gave you a caution. You didn't comply. And I go, I did not sit back on that bench, and you weren't clear to me. I was trying to investigate, so I just got off the park.
He wasn't going to fine us until he spoke it over with Dr. Paul Remoliotis at the Eastern Ontario Health Unit, and they would determine whether a fine would be put in place. However, the officer come back within the hour, and he fined us $880.
We were on this swing for about we were here for about 15 or 20 minutes. She was just on the swing. We weren't hurting anyone. We were here by ourselves. The police showed up. 2 officers approached us and told us that we were breaking.
And they put handcuffs on my mom.
We are providing necessities of life to those that you and your bosses refuse to provide.
You guys do respect the social distance.
Stand back from me a little bit. I need, whoa. I need 8 feet. Stand back. Okay?
Or what?
Stand
You're
back.
gonna f***ing threaten me and abuse me?
Hey, guys.
Do not do that.
Tell him not to
6 feet
touch
away.
me.
Every single one of those cases makes me so mad about what's going on at the police, at the politicians, at the health bureaucrats, and also at the official civil liberties people, the Canadian Civil Liberties Association, for example. They've been completely AWOL, just hiding under their beds during this whole martial law. The only lawsuit they filed, you won't believe this, is to spring prisoners out of jail. Nothing to stop law-abiding people from being bullied by out-of-control health bureaucrats. I'm so proud of these 11 stories that we're championing, 11 real people we're helping, and I'm sure there will be many more before we're through this. David himself became a bit of an activist when he put up a sign that said, "Mr. Mayor, tear down this wall," on an insane wall that was put up around the beautiful cherry blossoms in a major park in Toronto by the mayor. And wouldn't you know it, just a couple days after he did that, the mayor did in fact take down that wall. I wonder if David helped cause that to happen. I think he did. Maybe it helped that David pointed out that the mayor himself doesn't wear a mask, certainly not in a photo op. And it was really weird how he didn't socially distance or wear a mask when he was mugging for the cameras with frontline healthcare workers. He wanted that photo more than he wanted to take precautions. Why didn't he get a ticket? Why do all these innocent people get tickets, but not that mayor? So we're fighting the fight. We've actually made up little stickers, too, that you can order from our store. They say COVID 1984, a reference to the Orwellian nature of this whole crisis, a crisis that luckily hasn't had a horrific death toll, at least not in comparison with all the government models that were used to scare us, but that is now being used opportunistically by government to flatten our civil liberties and flatten our economy. That's another area where David has done well, covering those back-to-work rallies in Toronto, for example.
People's jobs are essential. People need to survive. They need to put food on their tables, take care of their children, take care of their parents, or they have extended family members in our household, rent, hydro. Like, this stuff costs us money. And the money that they're providing only goes so far.
For every 1% the economy goes up for unemployment, 36,000 deaths. The deaths will be worse if we crash this economy and go into a depression than what the virus will ever do.
Sheila covered a small such rally in Edmonton where, strangely, Jason Kenney's legislature sheriffs illegally picked up and carried away a lawful, peaceful protester. Just crazy. Kean in Calgary covered a coffee shop opening up that's being picked on by health inspectors who hate it. So we're fighting for people who don't have a government check. You know what I mean? People in the government get paid no matter what. They're loving this lockdown. They hang out in their pajamas all day, watching Netflix all day, ordering takeout. They're loving life. It's a paid vacation. It's the people who have to go to work for a living who are being hurt. It's a real divide between the working class that's hurting worse than at any time since the Great Depression, and the ruling class, which is having the time of their life. So we'll keep at it. You know, I've written a book called China Virus. I'm trying to get Amazon to publish it as they've published our last 7 books. But their policy teams have so far banned the book from being uploaded because they think maybe I'm offering some sort of quack medical advice or something. I'm not offering medical advice. I'm criticizing Trudeau's politics in the manner I've just been doing for 10 minutes here. If we can't get this sorted out with Amazon this week, we will just publish it directly to our own website. But I hope we can get it fixed because I love being an Amazon bestseller. I know this will do well. This is the kind of censorship that is awful, but it's no longer surprising. So that's what we've been doing editorially the last 2 months. And though 2 months ago I was worried about the risk of having to lay off staff, God forbid, I would absolutely hate to do so, which I do not want to do and did everything to avoid, I am pleased to report that the opposite has happened. We've actually added staff. In the past 2 months, we've brought aboard a social media editor who's helping us get our act together better on Facebook, where we didn't really do a great job in the past, Instagram, and other social media. And he's doing such a good job. We've hired another couple of writers, too, to do written content for our site, including Anna Slatz, who comes to us from the Post-Millennial. Very interesting writer and good investigative research. I'm so proud that she's joined us. She's not right-wing, I'll tell you that. But boy, she's smart and a good arguer, very thoughtful. I think she's going to mix it up a bit. I think it's going to be great. Keep an eye peeled for her. We had Spencer Fernando on the show for the first time as a guest just last week. I look forward to having him on as regularly as he'll agree to come on. He's one of my favorite guys out there. Obviously, he has his own website, spencerfernando.com, completely separate. But I'd love to see him do more appearances with us if possible. And I'm not sure if I formally announced it, but did you know our old friend Raheel Raza is now doing videos with us too directly? And she's also our new chairman of our advisory board. We're putting together an advisory board of people who love Rebel News, who have a lot of experience, maybe a touch of gray hair, people who can help us with their experience and expertise and their connections, people who represent the different, I guess I'd call them the different tribes of the Rebel, the free speech tribe, the oil and gas tribe, and in the case of Raheel, she's an expert on radical Islam. I love that in addition to her advisory role, and she joins us every Monday morning on our Skype call, I love that she's doing videos for us like this.
Some politicians and administrators have allowed the call to prayer, known as the Azan, to be publicly broadcast over a loudspeaker in chosen mosques while amending the noise bylaw. The call to prayer actually invites Muslims to come to the mosque. Now, during this COVID-19 emergency, mosques are closed, and any suggestion for people to gather is considered unlawful. In this particular instance, harmful to Muslims and non-Muslims alike. In fact, in some Muslim countries, the words "come to prayer" have been changed to "say your prayer," so people don't misunderstand and rush to the mosque.
We will also have some other big news about Raheel and a project she's doing with us soon, I hope. So we've got a lot of things on the go. We have not been wasting our time these last months. And I know this next part is boring, but we've made some important structural improvements to Rebel News too. Our website is faster now and better now. I'm not sure if you could tell, but it's the best it's ever been. We've ironed out some of the problems we had last year with our disastrous site relaunch last year. Well, our relaunch is actually great, and the site's never been better. And internally, not that you care, we've put in a new project management tool called Monday.com. I don't know if you've heard of that. Just really to help us track so many of the things we have on the go, just to make us better managed so everyone in the company can see what everyone else is working on and when and what they have to do and not to forget. It's a great project management system tool. Other changes that are probably too boring to even mention, so I won't mention them. But in answer to your question, David, which was, do you suppose it's a good time to update your supporters on how the Rebels is faring during this prolonged economic crisis? My answer is this. We are stronger than we thought we would be. We are strong enough that we can carefully make a few new hires, like writers and editors, and improve the website and spend a little bit of money on software tools that cost some money. We have to be careful. We always have to check and double check things, but I think we're going to be okay because I think our viewers have found us useful and even maybe, dare I say, important during this crisis. People who have never looked at Rebel News before have discovered us, like this guy who isn't exactly a stereotypical Rebel viewer.
I want to commend you and what you represent, because I wasn't so familiar with you guys after I was doing an internet search for some help with this egregious situation. Commend you for the work you're doing. This is wonderful. I mean this, I don't know much about what else you're doing, but this is good work. I did read your About page, and it was correct. So that's when I sent it in. And so that's great. Anybody helping you do this, not just helping me. I'm not just helping myself here.
A lot of normal people are reaching out for us these past 2 months, not political people, just ordinary folks, because we're the only people they can trust. They just don't trust Trudeau and the CBC and the China crew. You probably saw the Angus Reid poll last week showing the vast majority of Canadians distrust China. Well, we can all tell that Trudeau and Tam are in China's pocket. I mean, we all see that. And same with the CBC and many other media. Where do you think those millions of Canadian China skeptics are going for the other side of the story? Well, they're coming here. Me, David, Sheila, Kian, Raheel, and now Anna and others joining the team, and our legal eagles too. I'm proud of our people and I'm grateful to our viewers. And that's how all of it works, actually. So where did the money come from? To hire Sam Goldstein to fight the fines, to sue Trudeau again, to hire the new writers, to buy the new software. The money did not come from Justin Trudeau. We don't take a dime from Trudeau, never will. So it all comes from you. 100% of our money comes from our viewers. 0% comes from the government. So it keeps us honest working for you. It keeps us attentive to what you want. It makes us listen to you, and we do. We try to. If you like what we're doing, please tell us and please show us by chipping in what you can. We haven't got all our legal bills in yet for fightthefines.com. Actually, those court battles have all yet to happen. And our battle against Trudeau in federal court has just begun. Our last fight in federal court cost us $18,000. This will be more, I'm sure. I won't tell you what we're paying our writers and editors. It's enough to live on, but we need your help to pay for that too. I don't want to ask for Trudeau. I'll never ask for Trudeau to help. I will ask you, our readers and viewers, instead. If you think we've earned your trust these past 2 months, if you think we've kept our promise to tell the other side of the story, and if you like the fact that we're actually fighting for freedom for Canadians through our fightthefines.com project, if you like our skeptical journalism, please help us continue. Sorry to turn this into another crowdfunding call, but I think you can see pretty clearly exactly what we're spending it on. If you like this, if you like it in contrast to the media party, to the liars at the CBC, please help us at helprebelnews.com. Just give us a hand. $5 or $500, it all helps. Thanks for your support, my friends. Stay healthy. The Rebel has become the most important source of alternative news in Canada during the pandemic. To help us stay strong, please go to helprebelnews.com and chip in $5 or $500, whatever you can. And I promise we'll keep telling you the other side of the story.